Hello, this is Sondra Oster Baras bringing you a few words of Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. This week's Torah portion is Mishpatim, which literally means laws or statutes. And indeed, this is a Torah portion full of laws. Not much of a story here, but we can learn a great deal from the laws. Sometimes people dismiss these legal portions of the Bible and say, oh, they're laws, they don't apply, they're old, for example, in Hebrew, there are two words that rhyme: shor, which means an ox, and bor, which is a pit. And so they're two completely different words in English, but in Hebrew they rhyme: shor, bor. And, the beginning of it, we talk about, the responsibility of an owner of a piece of property where there's a pit and someone falls into the pit, and the responsibility of the owner of the property for that kind of situation, or the responsibility of the owner of an ox who has gored a bull or whatever, who has gored somebody, and what the responsibility is of the owner of that animal. And people say, oh, come on, who we live in cities, we don't care about pits and well, actually pits occur all the time. How often the electric company suddenly dig a hole in the middle of the road and start doing what's going on there. Now, what happens if they don't put a big sign over it or fence it off? So today there are things that we take for granted. We say, oh, of course, it is the responsibility of the electric company or of the city who has authorized these repairs. They have to fence it off so somebody won't fall in. But what was the origin of all this common sense? That's here in the Bible in these kind of rules, and they really apply to us today. People talk about, let's say, the bull. I mean, how many people are running around now with bulls and they have to worry about, are they goring people? But on the other hand, how many people are driving cars? Okay, and what happens to the driver of a car if they hit somebody? And don't we all think in general, if it's a one-time thing, well, how responsible was he? If you have a driver that has had several accidents, well, you're going to throw him into jail a lot faster if he's violated some law. Certainly if he's hurt somebody, certainly if he's killed somebody. And so, and the responsibility of the owner of the car who let their idiot teenager drive the car, or who didn't make sure that the car was locked up. These are issues that are so much related to the rules we have here about the bor and the shor, about the pit and the bull. But there's one thing that I'd like to refer to here, and it really is it's very unusual, I think, and it's something that I would say the laws of the state of Israel today reflect in many ways. If you're going to loan money to somebody, okay, you are not supposed to be a burden to that person. You loan money to somebody. The assumption in the Bible today, of course, we're in a different kind of world. People borrow and lend money as a method of making money, as a method of finance, a kind of the banking system. Okay, kind of makes the global finance work. But in biblical times, nobody ever borrowed money unless they were very poor and they just didn't have it and they needed this money desperately. So what this saying is that if you are borrowing money if someone borrows money from you, if you lend somebody money, you cannot turn that into something that will strangle him, okay? And it makes it very, very important what kind of security has that person given. Now, it paints a picture here of somebody who has absolutely nothing to his name except his blanket or his coat or something that he's wearing to sleep at night. He doesn't have a house. He doesn't have fields. He has nothing. Okay, he's possibly a day laborer. Every day he goes and works somewhere. He doesn't have a place to live. He's the poorest of the poor. And so when this person borrows money, he's borrowing it for the most basic needs. Okay, and let's say all he owns is this blanket or some kind of a covering that he needs at night when he goes to sleep. And so it says, if you've taken that as your security, you have to return it to him every night, because otherwise he will not have a way to cover himself and protect himself. And that is just like, an amazing thing, an amazing law. And in fact, in Israel, there is a law that it is very, very difficult to throw someone out of their home, even if that person has no right to be in that home. For example, if a person, let's say, the house has been foreclosed, he's foreclosed on his mortgage and he hasn't paid his debt, or even less of a right than that. A person who has no capital, no equity in a home, they're renting the home, and they're in the arrears of the rent payment, and the owner of the home wants to get rid of the person because they stopped paying rent. They haven't paid rent for months, okay? That's quite controversial because the owner of the apartment will say, this is my apartment, I'm relying on this for income. I need to get this person out if he's not paying rent so that I can bring in somebody else who will pay rent. And yet it's a difficult procedure. The courts have to adjudicate every single one of these procedures. You cannot just call the police and say, throw this person out. He is in arrears of his rent. You have to go to court. And the court will give the person time, and they will want to be sure that this person has another place to live, or that he gets public housing, or whatever. And it really comes from this verse. Is this person so desperate that he clearly has no place to live? Then it is responsible of society to make sure he does have a place to live, and we're not throwing him on the streets. For all the difficulty that kind of rule can impose, this is the source of it. Have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you enjoyed that film. And we have lots more film content and emails and articles that I'm sure you will enjoy as well. Check out our website at CFOIC.com and subscribe to our newsletter. You can do that right from the homepage. I know you will really enjoy the content that will land in your inbox on a regular basis. Hope to see you soon.